Teachers, good afternoon and welcome to our last session of this online course, Blogging 101. We're just going to wait for another 2 more minutes for some other teachers to join us. Magda, your trainer, is already here with us. Remember that you can communicate with us through the chat box. We will be reading your comments and addressing your questions throughout the session or maybe at the end. We also want to thank you very much for having participated in the whole course. You will be receiving your certificates and access to the recordings after this session. Thank you very, very much again for having joined and participated in the course. We are almost ready to start. We're just going to wait 1 more minute to allow some more teachers to join us, but feel free to communicate with us through the chat box. I'll be back with you in a minute.
All right, thank you, Jime. Hello, everybody, how are you? I think that my camera is off. Hello, everybody, hi, welcome to the last session. I am Magdalena Tiburcio, and today we have the very last session of the blogging course. Hopefully, today you will get some ideas on where to find more inspiration for your blogs. I have already shared in the chat a handout. I shared the first handout that I sent, I think, but that was a mistake. The real handout I wanted to share with you is called Where to Find More Ideas for Your Blog. It's there in the chat box, so you should find it there. And the idea is that you can download it. If for any reason you cannot download this, you can get into the blogging 101 richmond.blogspot.com. And in there, I will make a post for session 4. And in this post, I will give you a link to download that handout as well. So let's get started with the session. Let me tell you that I'm here in Mexico City, and today we had a horrible, horrible earthquake around 11 in the morning. We're all fine. Nothing horrible happened. We just were very scared because you probably know we're all in home office. So it was a bit contradictory running away from your home while there's the virus outside. So it was confusing and horrible for a minute there, but we're all fine in Mexico. And we're hoping we don't have any more earthquakes for today, right? You know what's going on with 2020. Am I right? So let's get started with the session. Let's talk about something nice, which is blogging. And so let's get started with what we will check today. So what have we learned so far in this course? So far, you should have created a blog in Blogger, and if you haven't, don't worry. The idea is that you know how to create a blog now, and whenever you want to try it, you will have the knowledge, the know-how, right? You also know the difference between a tutor blog and a class blog, and you know how to set up each in a blog, right? So in a tutor blog, as you know, the teacher is the one that controls everything and the only one that can publish. And in a class blog, all the students can publish, which allows you to do more activities with your students. Also, you also know how to set up your privacy settings, so you can have a safe space online. You can manage who can read your blog, who can publish in your blog, who can comment, and you can decide if you want to moderate comments. So now you know all of these things about a blog, and the rest, I must say, is practice and imagination. So what we will review today is basically this. This is a class blog, remember? In a class blog, you have to add your students. Everybody in here must have a Gmail account so they can be an author. And something important about this is that you can make it public so anyone can read your blog, but you can also choose that only the members of the blog or a selected group of readers can have access to your blog to make it safer. As I was saying before, whenever you're working with adults, it's kind of easier because people should be more responsible. But when you're working with teens, make sure that everything is very safe, so no one who you don't know can interact with your students in the blog. Also, we were talking about a tutor blog, and basically in a tutor blog is where you're going to share things with your students, and the only way in which they can interact with you is through the comments. So a tutor blog is also a good tool. Today I will show you some activities that you can do in either one of those blogs, in a tutor blog or a class blog. And I have also shared these blogs with you, bloggingidea.clt.blogspot.com, where I have some ideas for tutor blogs, and the class blog richmond.blogspot.com, where you can find some ideas on class blogs. So the idea of having this is that I have created some sample posts that you can see that can give you ideas. I mean, there are many things that you can do in blogs, and the main objective of this session is to give you ideas on how to create activities in your blog. Now, you have a tutor blog or a class blog or both. Now, let's talk about how to create activities in it. So, something important here is that we will talk about how to transform activities from your textbook into blog activities. The second part of this session will be showing you ideas that will be useful as follow-up activities or preparation activities for the class or flipped classroom activities. And finally, the sources to find ideas. I have already shared with you a document. It's a PDF where you have lots of links of websites you can visit, where I think you can find interesting and useful stuff. By the end of the session, I will click on some of these links so you can see them. And well, of course, the idea is that you explore them and that you create a collection of your favorite places. It is very important that you can have sources of information, because as I mentioned at the beginning, what I was saying at the beginning, sorry, is that whenever you start a blog, you have lots of fresh ideas and you have lots of things to post, etc. But as you move on, you will start running out of ideas, and that's when it's important to have sources. I also suggest that you follow blogs created by teachers who are working with real students. The blogs that I have shared are being used as models. They are not being used with real students. So if you have the chance to see a blog where a teacher is working with their students, that will be the best case scenario. What I strongly suggest is that you create a community within your school or with your teacher friends, and you create a blogging community where you can share ideas. Many publishing houses have blogs as well. So look into Google and find out who's got blogs and follow them, and they usually give you very nice ideas. So let's get started with the very first part, which is transforming textbook activities into blog activities. Let me check the chat. So hi everyone, how are you? It's very nice to see you. Can you believe that this is the last session? I really can't. It was so fast. Hopefully by December, when this horrible year ends, we will all be out and about and out of danger. But so far, the year has been going so fast, right? So let's talk about transforming textbook activities into blog activities. Originally, when I gave this course, I gave ideas for preschool and primary, but today I'm going to focus on secondary and high school ideas. Anyway, when you visit the blogs where I created the sample activities, you will find preschool and primary activities. So if you are teaching these ages, if you're teaching very young children, or if you know teachers who do, those activities in the blog might be useful. But today we're going to focus on secondary and high school. So let's get started. The very first activity I have here comes, hold on, this wasn't supposed to be here. Now, here it is. Well, no, let's use it because I think this would be important. Whenever I suggest activities for preschool, I know that most of you are working with teenagers and adults, but if you know someone who's working with preschool and it's interested in blogging, you should know that the blog is not for the students. The blog is for parents. And it is very important that if you decide to set up a blog as if you set up a blog as a teacher in preschool, it's important that you agree with parents on what you're going to post. And you can mainly post videos or instructions of activities they can do at home or tutorials, etc. It's very, very limited what you can do in a blog with preschool. And once again, it is addressed to the adults, right? I think that someone is raising their hand. I don't understand this Zoom function, but I think... No, right, Jimena? No one is raising their hand, or they are? I am hallucinating.
No, Mag. No.
Sorry,
no,
I'm hallucinating.
I don't see any hands. Don't worry.
Okay, so let's talk about activities for teenagers. With teenagers, you can actually do more interesting activities because they are old enough to actually do things themselves in the blog. So the suggested type of blog for secondary could be tutor or class blog. Once again, even if your students are the ones working on it, my suggestion is that you keep it super safe and you moderate all the comments because teenagers can be very mean between each other. So it's better to have a controlled environment where you monitor what they post before they make it public. Parents should supervise. I think it's advisable that you tell parents that you are using a blog and that their kids are involved in this blog, and they should know about its existence because they will probably see their kids posting things online. I think it's important that they know about the blog. What can you do with secondary students? Well, you can use videos, instructions again to do activities at home, tutorials, challenges, writing assignments. I think that blogs are amazing for writing. If you love practicing writing and if you are struggling with your students, blogs are natural writing environments. Also, reading assignments can be shared there. Personally, when I am working with teenagers, I love giving them the real thing, like bringing articles from magazines or internet sources or real songs, because this can help them feel motivated to understand English if they see that it's real. So if you want to share with them blogs or texts, don't forget what we mentioned. The suggestion is that you just don't copy and paste the text, but you maybe give them a link to visit the original text. And you know, nowadays, all the magazines and newspapers in the world have websites, so you can actually share these with them. I strongly suggest Huffington Post. In there you find lots of reading activities for adults, teenagers, and they have all the topics you can think of. Buzzfeed is also really cool for teenagers and immature adults like myself. So I am going to write those later. I will visit the website so you can see them. And you can also give them web quests. So there are many things you can do in a blog for secondary students. And here I have an example. So this is an example taken from Achievers. Of course, for obvious reasons, I am only going to use Richmond books as examples. Because Jimena is watching, and it's not true. It's not because of that. It's because I have full access to all to all the Richmond materials. But now you can tell.
I'm watching.
Of course, and you can tell Chris that I mentioned only Richmond series. Chris is our boss, of course, right? So for people to have more context. So let's talk about a sample activity that comes from Achievers. So this is an activity that my students are doing in the book. As you can see, it's a writing activity, and they are learning how to write a story. So they are learning about narrative tenses, describing characters, using adjectives and adverbs, etc. And as you can see in there, we have a section for them to write. It's the writing preparation section where we give them the entire process. They have to plan, then they have to think about what they're going to say, and then they have to write. So when my students have to write, I transfer this activity into the blog to make it more meaningful for them. Let me share now my blog. You should be able to see my blog now. So here I have it, and can't remember what was the name. Hold on, it should be around here. So you can see that some of the activities that can be seen in here are activities made for preschools. I will visit all of them so you can see them. Hold on, I think the one that I want to visit is here. Here it is. So in here, I created a writing assignment for my students. Let me show you. I am using this design. I just can't get used to this design, as I was saying. So here it is. So as you can see, this is the follow-up. I just copied the paragraphs. My suggestion is that you don't just copy and paste the piece of the textbook. I did it in a couple of examples because I was very lazy, I have to be honest. But for you not to get into trouble for copyright matters, etc., once again, I don't think you will ever get into copyright problems because your blogs will be closed and they are used for educational purposes. But still, if you can type the information yourself or you can send them a link to the actual source, that's better. So here's the writing assignment, and in here I am giving my students some instructions, and then I am repeating this. Don't forget to include this information in paragraph 1, in paragraph 2, 3, and 4, and use the label Unit 8 story whenever you're ready. So instead of having my students writing this text in a notebook or in their workbook or in any random piece of paper, I ask my students to actually make a post, and this way the textbook activity is connected with the blog. Whenever possible, my suggestion is that you do this. Connecting activities with the textbook is going to help your students connect the information they are learning with the blog easily, right? Let me check the chat box, I think. Okay, so Ana Maria is asking, isn't it a problem to publish in a blog a photo of a page from any book? I mean, won't it be a problem with the publisher? Once again, if you copy the photo of the textbook, it might be a problem. But as you can see, what I am doing here is that I am adapting the activity so it becomes a blog activity. So I am using this information over here in the paragraphs of the writing, and I transform it into a text. Once again, and this is very bad advice, if in your blog it is super safe and only your students and you can see the things, you won't ever have a problem with copyright. It's very unlikely that you will have a problem with copyright. But if you want to do things right, so you make sure that you don't ever have a problem because you're not doing anything wrong, then I strongly suggest that you transfer the information or connect it with the actual source, right? It's better to do it that way. Jose is asking, what happens if they download it and post it somewhere else? Well, it would be a problem of the person who is posting it, not yours. If they download it and they post it again, it's no longer your responsibility, right? But again, I think it's better if you transform your activities into this, right? So this is not the blog activity, as you probably noticed. The blog activity was me typing paragraph 1, 2, 3, and 4 and asking them to check it. Now, if you want to make it even more simple, you can refer your students to go to a certain page in their book and follow the instructions in the paragraphs and then make the post. It's not necessary that you post the information from the book, okay? This is one example. So this is, oh, here was the zoom in. So here is the information I was using, right? At the beginning, I posted, I copied and pasted, I copied, sorry, I copied and posted this picture in the blog, but I checked it again and I decided to take it down and transform it into text. I think it's more convenient. It's more simple. Okay, now for high school and young adults, all of these activities will work for any level you're teaching, really. It really depends on the kinds of information you share with them. As you can see, for high school and adults, it's basically the same, a tutor blog or a class blog, and you can share basically the same things. You will notice the difference with young learners. If you are teaching preschool or primary, you will notice that the difference is that you cannot have a class blog with younger learners because that would mean they would have to blog. Now, if you're working with teenagers and adults, it's easier in terms of blogging, right? So here I have another example. This is a bad example, mind you. So this is the personal best B1 Plus Unit 7 activity. And my students were doing this activity in class. So in class, they were doing this speaking activity. They were working in pairs, talking about a film they love, a favorite film. And then in the blog, the idea was that they would write about the speaking activity. Why am I saying this is a bad example? You'll see in a second. So here I am now in the blogs. You should be able to see them now. And let me find it. A favorite film. Here, I think it's this one. Yes. So here is my bad example. Why is it a bad example? Because I did exactly what I told you not to do. So I posted the piece of the book you can see. So I took a screen capture of the digital book and I posted it in my blog. So I will take it down. I will transform it. I just wanted to do this very, very quickly. But as you can see in here, the idea would be to write a short review about a favorite film. When they were working in class, they were talking about it. And to extend the work, now I'm asking them to write about it. And they can use these questions to organize their writing. As you can see, this was only done because I was very lazy that day, because it's not necessary. You can easily transfer the text in here, right? You can easily write the questions in here without having the piece of page. But well, the idea in here is that students do this, and don't forget that you always have to tell them which tag they should use. For example, in here they have to use the tag favorite film and Unit 7. So that's what they have to use whenever they post their homework, right? And well, the idea again is that they practice writing a little bit more. I'm coming back to my presentation, and in here, here I have another example. This also comes from Personal Best B1 Plus Unit 7, and in here students are learning how to give directions. So this is the activity, the way it looks in the book. Now this activity, I did it right. I did change it. I didn't copy and paste. Don't be like Magda, that's not good. So here we are with, let me show you. So this is the activity, right? Oh no, wait, this is not, hold on. The activity is in the, here it is. So this activity is a follow-up of that one, of the giving directions. And as you can see, this is a screen capture of Google Maps. This is a neighborhood in Mexico City. And I am saying, look at this map, locate the red dot. This will always be our starting point. Share in the comments the directions to find a car park, a restaurant, a hospital, a drugstore, a market, a supermarket, etc. And students have to comment in order to do this, right? So, for example, I'm going to zoom in the picture, and then we're here, and students have to find a supermarket or a market, right? So, as you probably can see, over here, there is a market, Mercado San Pedro de los Pinos. It's a very nice market, by the way. And students are supposed to get here. So they have to tell me, go straight up Calle 9 and then turn left in blah, 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 etc., right? So I did this so I could make a reference. But if you don't want to use the screen capture of a map, you can actually give them a link to go and visit the real the real Google Maps and to give directions, etc. So this is a simple activity for them to practice giving directions. I don't know if it's still happening, but back in the days when I was teaching, this was a horrible topic. It was so confusing for students. Giving directions, but I think this is a cognitive thing. I think people have trouble giving directions in either English or Spanish. But whenever students were practicing giving directions, they would get horribly confused. And I think that having extra practice, for example, doing this in a blog where they can have some extra practice would be very useful for them. And you can do activities that are more creative than just this. Maybe you can give them a map and a series of clues, and they have to find different places in a map. Or maybe they tell each other directions and the others have to guess where the person is, etc. So there are many things you can do. This is just an example. Let me check the chat box. And yes, Luis Alfredo is saying that spatial thinking is one of the most underrated skills. It's true. It's at the beginning I thought it was a cultural thing over here, but it doesn't matter the language. I think people in general have trouble giving directions or following directions, right? So let's go back to the presentation. And well, as you can see, this is a very simple activity. This was an activity that my students were using for vocabulary mainly. And they were talking about giving directions and places around town, etc. So you can have an extension with this. I think that having these wonderful tools as Google Maps, etc., it's really cool because they can even set their little gadget in English and they can listen to the directions in English. That would be cool, right? Let me see. I think someone's in the chat. Right. That's true with Alfredo. Geometry and drafting. He says that geometry and drafting are being taken out from most curriculums around the world. True thing. So well, these are just very, very simple examples. And once again, your imagination is the limit. Look at the activities in your textbook and analyze which of these activities could become something they can do in the blog, or they could be extensions in the blog, or things they do, or they work in this fashion. So now let's talk about, I think these topics are linked because many of the things you do in the textbook can become follow-up activities after you finish your class, or they can be preparation activities. So when your students get into the class, they have already practiced a little bit, or their content is very clear, or you can flip your classroom by using this. So, well, before we move on, let me see, I think we have more people in the... Okay. So let's get started. We're going to start with a preparation activity. So I took this activity from English ID 3, Unit 3, and something that I love from English ID is that you actually start every lesson with a question, with a big question, and the idea of the question is to start communication and make students interested in communicating something. So I remember Paul Seligson once was saying that, why would you want to learn English if there's nothing you want to say? And I think he's right. So I want to prepare my students before the lesson. So before we have this class, I am asking my students to go to the blog and do an activity. The activity that I'm about to show you is in a class blog. As you remember, in a class blog, students can post things themselves, right? So here it is. It's here. So here we are. So this is the activity for my students, okay? Which city would you most like to visit? Think about a city that you'd like to visit soon. Create a post about this, about the city where you include some pictures, what you would like to visit and see, activities you would like to do, food you would like to try, and when you would like to visit, like with the time of the year. Include the tag favorite city. So the idea of asking students to make a post like this would be that they actually get into the internet or into a website and they find out information about these cities. Maybe they find information about landmarks. I think this will give them time to find out how they call these things in English, famous food that they can have in that city or activities. So if you want to go beyond, you can even give them links to websites where they can explore this information, like tourism websites, right? So for example, you give them a couple of ideas and they visit these links that you suggested, and you make sure that they will be in English, for example. And why would this be a preparation activity? Well, when students come into class, then they will be ready to talk more about the city. Here's a rough example of what a student could create. And as you can see, they chose New York. And it says, I would love to visit New York. I would like to visit in the fall. They say the city is beautiful then, and I think the picture is even from New York in the fall. I would go to Central Park and have a long walk. I would take lots of pictures. I would catch a play in Broadway and then have a slice of New York style pizza, right? So here's an idea. So when my students come into class, let me go back to the presentation. When my students come back into class and we ask the question, which city would you most like to visit? They have this idea fresh. They were thinking about it. They will be able to participate more because they research a little bit more about this. You probably have noticed that sometimes students don't participate, and this is not because they cannot express themselves in English. It's because they have no ideas or no content to talk about. So whenever you can do activities in your blogs that will allow students to explore the topic and give them more, more food for thought, that will help in class, definitely. So whenever they start working with the vocabulary, they probably will have seen some of these words already when they were finding information about the city they want to visit, etc. So this could be a preparation activity. As you can see, this is very simple. You don't have to do something super technical or techy. It can be as simple as copying the question that they have in the unit opener and asking them to elaborate on that. Here's another example. This would be a follow-up. I think I took this from Achievers as well. And as you can see, we were learning about compound nouns. So my students are learning about this in class. They were checking this information. And I have created an activity that will help them as a follow-up. Let me find it in a second. I think it's here. Okay. And here we have the compound nouns. Let me publish this. So let's see this. And this activity is for my students. In class, we learned that compound nouns are made of two nouns put together. In the comments, share as many compound nouns as you can think of. Pay attention to each other's comments and do not repeat any compound nouns previously written. If you need some extra help, watch this video. And this is a video where they explain what compound nouns are. So as you can see, this is an activity where my students can see another explanation of the topic. They can review it if necessary, and they can practice as well writing comments to give more examples. This could be an activity that you plan as a follow-up, and the idea of having a follow-up is that you can actually reinforce the topic that your students were learning. Let me see. So Gloria has some questions. Gloria is asking if she should send her blog or just create it. Well, preferably you should share it, but I mean, it's up to you, Gloria. You choose. Creating the blog does not affect the fact that you get a certificate or not. Creating the blog is basically for you to practice. So if you create your blog and you want me to see it, just send me the link or send me an invitation so I can see it. And if you want any feedback, I could help. Okay, but don't stress about it. The idea of having a blog, once again, is that you get to practice. So this is an example, a very simple example of how you could create a follow-up activity in your blog that supports what you are doing in class, right? It's always about having both of these things together. Now, sources to find ideas. I shared with you a PDF. Now, just give me a second because I think, yeah. Oh, yes, I did it. Hold on. Let me open the file because I didn't open it beforehand. But this file is in the chat, so you should be able to see it there. I am opening the file. Can you see my PDF?
We have like a gray screen at the moment.
Okay.
The PDF.
Let me share the PDF then, because now you should see the PDF, right? So this is the...
No? Yeah, yes, we got it now.
Oh,
See.
good. Mm-hmm. I was worried because then I wouldn't know how. But well, you all have this file in the chat, and this PDF, once again, it's going to be available in the chat, in the blog. Sorry, I will show you in a minute. And I have included websites and blogs that could be useful for you. I, for example, included, as I mentioned, this one, Huff English. Now let me share my there. Now I'm sharing my my browser so you can see it. So in this Huff English, this is a blog basically where you can see more ideas on blogging or extra information. Right. I also included a website by the British Council, which is very popular, and it's got lots of ideas on teaching English in general. So they will give you some ideas about things you can share with your students, activities, etc. And I think it's always important to have websites where you can get inspired, where you can get ideas. So, for example, let me show you this website I was telling you, the Huff Post. The Huff Post is a really cool website that you can use to find sources for reading. Let me copy this in the chat so everybody can visit. Hold on. The chat is hiding. Here it is. So I love this one because it always has interesting videos or texts or etc., etc., etc. So if you want to share with your students information that they can read or they can extend on what they are doing, you for sure will find it here. and it is kept up to date, right? So for example, let's say that you have lots of Game of Thrones fans in your class. As you can see, you will find articles that may be interesting for them to read, right? And you can connect them to things that you are learning in class. Once again, if you want to, for example, let's say, if you want to share this with your students, do not copy and paste this text, but rather copy the link, and then whenever you go into your blog and you create a post, you insert the link, remember? So read this, and then we have it, and that's it, right? And this way, your students will be able to visit that article that you want them to read, but you won't be in trouble that you are copying and pasting information online. So this could be quite useful. The Huff Post, it's a website I visit a lot. And another one that it's really cool, again, it's really cool for teenagers or immature adults like myself. I love Buzzfeed. If you have never been here, it's quite fun. And in here you will find silly and funny stuff. There is a Buzzfeed Mexico. Let me try to get into the international. I can't remember how to get into the international website. But there is an international website. And they also post in Facebook very frequently, right? And you usually find things in here that are going to be useful. And well, let me see if I can go to the original.
Teachers are also asking if you can please repeat the process of inserting the link into the blog, into the post.
Oh, of course, will do.
Mm-hmm. Thank
Give
you.
me a second. I am trying to. I'm trying to find the English version of BuzzFeed. I think it can be done. Well, I'll figure it out one day. But let's say this content that you can see here in Spanish exists in English. You just have to figure out the way to access it. I will check it out. But well, the thing is that they have this content in YouTube, and they have this content in Facebook, and also in here. And the idea is that you can find quizzes that are funny, you know, like, for example, here in Buzzfeed Mexico, there is one like, ¿Qué tipo de taco eres?, etc., etc., you know, silly stuff that is very, very funny with teenagers. So let me see. Let's look for taco quiz. Okay, for example, if you want to try how well you know Mexican tacos, for example, let's create a post with this. So how do you do it? First of all, you have to copy the URL, which is here on top of your browser. You copy this information, and then you go to your blog, okay? And let me go from the very beginning. If you want to create a new post, you click here, and then take this quiz, and you write any text you want, and then you insert the link. How to insert the link? You have to click here on this like paperclip icon. You click there, and you choose crear or editar URL, create or edit. And on the first part, you have to write the words you want to be displayed in your blog. For example, I don't want it to look like the entire URL address because it's too long. I just want it to say quiz. And then on this part, you copy what the website, where the website is located, and then aceptar. And that's it. Okay, and when you publish this, let's publish this, even though I will unpublish it later because it says nothing. You will look at the post, and if you click here, it takes you to the quiz, right? So this is how you copy things from websites where you like the content and you put it in your blog. Let me check the blog. Oh, thank you. So people are sending me the links to, yay, thank you. They're sending me the links to visit the real Buzzfeed. Thanks. You were able to manage that, right? Well, I strongly suggest this website for content, and in general, try to find websites where you find this kind of content that it's easy to handle. It's like very fresh, and this is the perfect content for extra reading for teenagers. As I mentioned, you can find quizzes that are very silly. Oh, here I'm back again in Buzzfeed Mexico. Well, never mind. But for example, here, every state has a popular movie that was filmed there. Have you seen yours? And this one is related to the United States, for example. But I think that there are BuzzFeed websites for different countries, so you are very likely to find different kinds of content. It's really cool, and I think it's fun. And once again, as I shared with you previously, give me a second to share the right screen. You can find many other websites where there are ideas in general. So it's quite important as well to follow blogs where teachers as well share information with you. So for example, this is an English teacher's blog. Let me share my browser with you. This is the blog, right? So this is a blog for EFL students in a friendly atmosphere. This was created by a teacher as well. And she usually posts things that are interesting, right? So for example, she posts lots of things related to vocabulary or expressions, or I think you will find useful things in here in general. Also, I strongly suggest Pinterest. If you have never used Pinterest, Pinterest is a social network where you can basically have collections of pictures that are useful. So for example, let's say English prepositions. I am looking for a picture of English prepositions for my students, and in here I will find lots, right? So maybe I can use this and post it and put it in my post for reference. And these things come from websites, so you can also visit the websites. I think, sorry, my nose is itching a little bit. But you can find also the sources of these. And usually when you visit these places, you'll find more ideas or more examples. For example, in here, this looks like a promising website where you can find other things, right? So also I give the suggestion of using Pinterest. I think in Pinterest, you will find lots of interesting things. I think I have a collection of stuff for teaching English and vocabulary, and it's quite useful, right? So look at this. For example, vocabulary places in town. And then you will find lots of this, right? So for example, if I wanted to give an extra to this post that I created of the favorite city, I could include one of these pictures maybe, and my students would be able to have like a little dictionary there. And once again, if you want to, if you don't want to share the picture per se, you can find the source and include a link to the actual picture or the original source, right? And well, this is a very simple way in which you can keep your blog fed. Also, this is very bad advice. Do not open as many tabs as I have, because this usually is what makes your computer slow down. So, well, this is just a very general example of the things you can do in a blog. Now, let me visit our class, our Richmond 101 class blog. Let me close all these tabs. And here it is. So I am going to post this session for article. And I would also like to show you that in this post, I have included the handout. So if you click on this link, you can find the handout that I just gave you, right? So if for any, if you can't find this anymore, or if you don't remember where you downloaded it, etc., you can always get into the session for post, and you will be able to get the handout by clicking here. Also, I included some hyperlinks to examples of pre-tasks and follow-ups. And as I mentioned, I created a couple of things that can be used with students. Let's visit the blog. Here you have the one that I just showed you, the giving directions. Here we have the compound nouns one. This one is for children, for example. It's with comparative adjectives, and this is a video where they explain comparatives. Everything seems to be pointing at the possibility that we will be teaching online for a while. So it would be useful to find videos and pictures and things that you can use as an extra. Of course, it's good that you have a real-time class with your students online, but it's also nice if you can have a place where they can practice a little bit more, and a blog offers that. It doesn't require as much maintenance, right? Here I have another one, and this activity is called Nature's Record Breakers, and they have to watch the video and write in the comments sentences using these things that were mentioned in the video. Here I have one that comes from Crickets. Here's one for parents and young learners. And as I was saying, the difference between blogging for very young learners, like in preschool, and older learners is basically that for young learners, you are blogging for parents, for their parents. So here you have some of this information, right? And you can explore this blog. This is the blogging ideas for English teachers. And in here, I have included some of the ideas that I have suggested so far. Let me share my PowerPoint. Here it is. So now you have all of this information about where to find websites, where to find pictures, where to find videos, etc. My suggestion is that you explore that handout. Click on every single link and explore the websites. I'm sure that you will find very useful information there. And in case you have any questions, you will still have my email. My email is mtiburcio@richmonddlt.com. I am in Richmond, Mexico. So if you ever come to Mexico, let me know, and I will tell you where to have very nice tacos. And I will also be visiting any blogs you send me. Many people have sent me their blog invitations, and I have already visited them. If you are curious about something, or if there's something that it's not very clear, share it with me. There's my email. You can also contact Jimena, and Jimena can send that information back to me as well. And these blogs will remain open, so you can visit either one. Well, not either, because there are three. You can visit any of these blogs anytime. You will probably find more ideas, because as we practice or as we do these courses, we usually add more information to the blogs. So you will always have access to it. They are public. And well, it's been a pleasure to work with you for a month. I just can't believe that a month went by. But it was really good. I hope that you have enjoyed the course, that you have learned new skills, and that you can create your own blogs now. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining. I will be checking the chat, because I think we have lots of comments. And let us know if you have any question. So, Jime, would you like to add anything else?
Yes, I want to thank you, Mac, for a very, very interesting, entertaining, relevant course. I also can't believe a month has gone by. I can still remember myself asking you to give the course for us. And it's over now. So thank you, Mac. Thank you very much for having done this. Thank you, teachers, for having joined us for the course. Mag, maybe you can copy and paste those links into the chat box. Teachers here are asking us about those links, the ones for your blogs. I also very, very quickly just to finish, want to remind teachers that I will send you access to the recording of the session after we finish. Certificates will be issued and delivered to participants that successfully completed the whole sessions. Don't worry, you will receive them directly to the email accounts you used to register to the course. So you should be getting your certificate soon. And also, please don't forget that you can either contact Magda or myself. I can help you get through Magda as well. And again, just a big thank you to Magda and to you for what I think was a very successful course. I just hope that everyone starts blogging with their students right away.
That would be the idea. So hopefully you will be able to blog soon. And once again, if you feel a little bit nervous about blogging directly with your students, gather a group of guinea pigs. They can be your friends, other teachers. You can invite me. I am happy to be a guinea pig in a blog. And I have already shared the links to the 3 blogs where you can find the ideas. And I shared the handout once more. But don't forget to visit the blogging101 richmond.blogspot.com blog, where you can find information about this course. Just in case that you have any questions, you can write in the comments, and I regularly check them. Right? So yes, let's all get blogging and invite each other to your blogs, and hopefully I'll see you again in a future course. So thank you very much for inviting me, Jime, and thank you all. And I send you greetings from Mexico City, where we all hope it doesn't have another earthquake again, because we ran out of bolillos. Well, I should explain that cultural joke, right? In Mexico City, we say bolillo, it's like a little baguette. And the popular saying is that when you get scared, you eat a bolillo, te comes un bolillo pa'l susto. So we ran out of bolillos already, and hopefully no more earthquakes. Or, oh, and it has been raining as well, and the city has been flooding. So seriously, we need a break. Take us away, please. So, Jime, how's Colombia? I hope you're all in peace and quiet.
No earthquakes, no flooding. We're better off. Muy encerrados, but no earthquakes and no floodings. So, Mag, it's good to know that you're okay. Que aunque saliste corriendo, nothing happened.
Right.
That you ran out of bolillos in the city, but they'll bake them tomorrow morning. Don't worry. Once again, Mac, thank you so very much. And we might be able to put something else together so that we all can get together again for a new and different course. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.